Tennessee had plenty of chances, but ultimately falls. Too many mistakes on the third Saturday in October, 37-20. Full reaction Monday takes here. Tennessee's loss to Alabama right here on Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome into it, your Monday morning Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough for being here and being a part of the show. You everydayers could not do this show without you for sure. I'm your host, Eric Cain, a member of the VolQuest.com team here in town covering your Tennessee Volunteers. Got a big show coming up here today. Monday Takes. We've sat on it for a couple days. Didn't get a chance to do a post-game show because I was at the game, covering the game. Alabama kicks us out of the press box at like an hour after the game, which is just incredible business. So I didn't have a chance to record a post-game show before I had to leave. So first time I get to talk to you guys. Sorry about that, but plenty to talk about here on a Monday. Kind of some thoughts, some reactions, all that and more in segment number one. We'll look at Pro Football Focus, some of the snap counts, some of the grades that make sense, the coverage grades, the pressure grades, all that and more, snaps, coverages, all that coming up in segment number two. And then we'll take a look at the box score. We'll hit on the developing story of Tony Vitello, and that's going to come up in segment number three. More on that here in a moment. But all that and more here on your Locked On Vols. Don't forget, Tuesday's show, mailbag edition. So whatever you guys have any questions, I'll do my best to answer it on tomorrow's mailbag show. Send those questions in at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, where right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can download the app today. All right, Tennessee falls 37-20. It's annoying. It's frustrating because, man, I'm not. I give Alabama credit. Alabama won the football game, and Alabama forced these turnovers and forced these issues for Tennessee. But Tennessee just continued to shoot itself in the foot. I mean, offensive pass interference, not lining up, being off the line, being covered up, going downfield, negating a positive play. Pressures, right? I mean, Tennessee's offensive line entered the weekend tied with Vanderbilt for the fewest sacks allowed in the SEC at 4. Tennessee allowed 4 sacks on the night. Flip it on over to the other side. Alabama, couldn't pressure the quarterback at all, right? 9 sacks on the season so far, and Pierre had 1 sack on the season. He had 3 sacks in this football game. That was not very good. Tennessee, meanwhile, led the nation in sacks per game, led the SEC with 26 sacks. And Tennessee was not able to get to the quarterback and Ty Simpson and bring him down. They pressured him. I mean, it felt like they pressured him quite a bit, especially in the first half, but ultimately wasn't able to get to Ty Simpson and bring him down. So what I thought entering the game was a big-time advantage, the line of scrimmage. What was not as the game, unfolded. And clearly, again, that's why you play the game on the field, not on paper, right? I mean, anything can happen. And what I thought was going to be I don't want to say a decisive advantage, but a pretty clear advantage in the line of scrimmage for Tennessee ended up not being so. So you had self-inflicted wounds, OPI, ineligible men downfield, again, false starts. Some of that comes in on the road, the procedural penalties and all that. I thought Tennessee third and long defense was actually better. Now, he gave up a 3rd and 8, or 3rd and 13, first series of the game. But after that, it kind of buckled down on 3rd and long, and that's where Tennessee defense really has not done well so far this year, but I thought that was a little bit better. Still missed too many tackles, but overall, I just thought Tennessee kind of beat itself again. And I say all that, I want to give the opponent credit because the opponent went out there and won the football game. But man, if Tennessee could just put something together, maybe you'll win one of these on the road at Alabama. But ultimately, that streak is going to continue on. Again, Tennessee's not won this game in Tuscaloosa since 2003. And, Tennessee tied the football game up midway through the second quarter. Looked good doing it. And then ultimately, one of the 2 game-changing plays occurred, right? You had the OPI that kind of brought him back just a couple yards out from its own end zone. And then Joey Aguilar drops back, and he's hit, and he's trying to get rid of the football, and he gets rid of it, but it's intentional grounding in the end zone, which is a safety. And then so you add on 2 points, and then you punt the football, or you kick the football back to the opponent, and Alabama goes down there and scores. So that's a bit frustrating, no doubt. But then the second, game-changing play, and this is the one that really is the story for me. Obviously, it's the pick 6. And there's a number of different layers to this, right? You're going into your 2-minute offense. And for the most part, I thought the 2-minute operation was better. Now, before you called the timeout, your last timeout, I thought you waited a play too long and you wasted, I want to say about, I don't have it in front of me, maybe like 12 seconds that you didn't have the waste. And that's critical, right? So I thought that was kind of a miscue. But overall, I thought you kind of managed up until the last play about as good. You could be better, but it was overall kind of solid. But you were presented with an opportunity, right, with 9 seconds left from the 1-yard line, and you're out of timeouts. And everybody in the stadium, everybody watching at home, everybody in the press box knows you can't run the football. Because if you get stuffed on the goal line right there, time's going to run out and the half's over. Just like in the end of the game. Time ran out and Tennessee wasn't able to punch it in there at the end of the game for an, backdoor touchdown. That's what was going to happen. So everybody knew you had to throw the football. Yet out of the timeout, you come back out there with the jumbo set. And I'm sitting here thinking like, boy, this is going to be ballsy if you run the football, right? It's going to be ballsy. But maybe you got that belief that you can get the 1 yard. Ultimately, Tennessee did not do that. Had to throw the football, which was the right call, but they stayed in the jumbo set. More importantly than that, they ran play action off of it. And you're trying to hit Miles Kitzman there on a flag route, like right out there, not necessarily the flats, but going to the pylon essentially. And the ball is thrown inside instead of outside, and it's a pick six and 99 yards the other way. Just a complete backbreaker. I mean, that was the play of the game, obviously. I mean, there's no breaking news here. That was the play of the game. It's unfortunate because that is a 14-point swing going into the halftime break. You could have went up, or you could have scored a touchdown there, best case scenario, and the score would have been 16-14 heading into the halftime break. Instead, it's a pick six because of the bad ball placement, jumps the route, takes it 99 yards, and you go from 16 to 7 to 23-7. And ultimately, from that safety, it was a 16-0 swing. It was a 16-0 run. And that's just unfortunate. That was the backbreaker. But still, coming out of the halftime break, your defense forces a 3 and out. Then you get the football and you go down there and score. And it's like, okay, you got a little something humming right here. And then ultimately, nothing really materialized from that, which is really, really, really unfortunate. Actually, you punted. You went down there and scored. That's right. You went down there and scored 4 plays, 61 yards, and Deshaun Bishop had a nice run on that series. So anyway, it was really just kind of, you felt like you had chances to get back in this football game, but ultimately you just couldn't sustain anything. But back to that goal line play, again, I don't like, obviously it was a bad throw from Joey Aguilar, but man, I don't like the position that he was in, right? Everybody knew you had to throw the football, and you're in jumbo. And then on top of that, you're running play action. I don't think that was the smartest call in that situation. I just don't. And ultimately, it was a backbreaker. It was the game-changing play. And Alabama from there kind of never looked back and controlled the football game, for sure, the rest of the way. So that was unfortunate. I thought officiating was, I mean, there was certainly a lot of missed calls. On that pick six, Jack Van Dorselaer was interfered with. They could have called a flag on that one. There was a missed delay of game. Ultimately didn't cost Tennessee anything because Boo Carter made a nice defensive play punching the football out after what appeared to be a reception, but they called it incomplete. Some other missed calls. I mean, there's going to be missed calls in a football game, but overall, Tennessee could just never kind of find its footing. And I thought Joey Aguilar played his worst football game in a Tennessee uniform. He still made some plays, don't get me wrong, and he still gave Tennessee an opportunity at points in times to go and take control of the game and go win the football game. But ultimately, I thought for all season long where he was not putting the football in harm's way, he put the football in harm's way several times in this football game, which was unfortunate. Obviously, he had the pick six. That was just a bad throw, but I thought decision-making was not as sharp in this football game. I thought Deshaun Bishop just continues his hot run, no pun intended. He is looking really, really good. He is clearly Tennessee's best running back, and that's been fun to watch. You look at the stat sheet, and Tennessee won in total yards. Tennessee won in passing yards. Tennessee won in rushing yards. A lot of that was padded there towards the end, right? I mean, the game was, Tennessee was down 17. Tennessee was driving there at the very end, kind of stacking up some yards, trying to punch it in. But ultimately, I thought the game came down to mistakes by Tennessee, self-inflicting wounds, missed tackles defensively, so many missed tackles defensively. and just the inability to overcome some of those mistakes. And obviously the pick six, 99 yards into the locker room. I mean, that was the biggest difference maker in this football game, unfortunately. So you have a second loss now. Is the season over? No, season's not over. You run the table, finish 10-2. You have a very good chance of being in the playoffs. A very good chance of being in the playoffs. Now, you're going to have to work your tail off to do just that, right? I mean, Kentucky, I think Tennessee wins this one by multiple scores. I know Tennessee, a favorite in this game, obviously, but according to our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. But I think Tennessee's going to have to, it's not just going to be a gimme. Kentucky pushed Texas to the brink there. I don't think Texas is very good, but I think that's a game you're going to win. Coming back home, I think Oklahoma is going to be a big-time challenge. What's the health look like for John Mateer? He does not look like himself, but still that's going to be a challenge at home. New Mexico State, and then, of course, you got Florida on the road. Where's Florida now? Of course, Billy Napier's been fired. Where's Florida? And then Vanderbilt. Where's Vanderbilt at the end of the season? So it's going to be challenging, but no doubt you still have we'll check the ESPN Football Power Index percentages and the ESPN model playoff predictor on tomorrow's show, but you still have a good chance to run the table and do that and go make the playoffs, but you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work. Season's certainly not over. But it does. I mean, kind of go back to August, right? I thought Tennessee would lose to Georgia. I thought Tennessee would lose to Alabama. And here you are, unfortunately. So where do you go from here? Excited to see how this team responds. It's unfortunate. This weekend was not very good, especially football-wise for Tennessee. But, somebody's got to lose. Tennessee lost this weekend, and we'll see how Tennessee responds moving forward. I guess in synopsis, Tennessee just continued to beat itself. And tip your cap to Alabama. It's a good football team. But Tennessee had chances to break into this football game, make things interesting, but a penalty or a turnover or a misassignment or a missed tackle or 3 missed tackles in one play just continued to negate that. And that's kind of what the frustrating ending to this football game was kind of all about. When we return, we'll look at the Pro Football Focus stats that matter, snap counts, coverage snaps, pressure snaps, all that and more as we continue on here. It's your Monday morning, Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. The NFL season is here. Yesterday was so much fun watching NFL football on my way back from Tuscaloosa and getting a little coin in my pocket, right? I was checking out my fantasy football team, some of those players, going from game to game, and it made it that much more exciting for me. But, same game parlays and different ways, futures bets, live in-game betting. There's something for everybody. There's something for me. There's something for you as well to keep the games that much more interesting with our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now, if you're a new customer, bet just $5. You're going to get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you have something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or just love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. That's FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started. FanDuel is where you can make every moment more. One of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. I love using Quo, formerly known as OpenPhone, because it lets my team share one number and collaborates on calls, on text, like a shared inbox, so that no customer is left hanging. Plus, their built-in AI agent is a game changer. It can always answer phone calls after hours, capture leads, and keep business moving when maybe you are off the clock. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's Quo, QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you got an existing number with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, guys, we welcome you back in here this Monday morning. Locked On Vols. Tennessee falls 37-20 in Tuscaloosa on the third Saturday in October, falling to 5-2 on the season, 2-2 in Southeastern Conference play. Coming up next on the road at Kentucky. You know that's going to be a night game on Saturday, so looking forward to that. That game will be televised on the SEC network. So here in segment number 2, wanted to do the Pro Football Focus stats that matter. And if you're unfamiliar with what Pro Football Focus is, it is, if I can find my trailer here. Here we go. The grading system looks like this. Elite is considered 90 to 99. Very good is 80 to 89. Above average starter, 70 to 79. Average starter is 60 to 69. Below average starter is 50 to 59. And less than 50 is considered a backup level player. So again, take it with a grain of salt. I don't often use the grades per se, but we'll kind of go over some of the grades right here when I'm looking at the snap counts. Deshaun Bishop was the highest person graded for Tennessee football, 79.9 on the offensive end, 40 snaps. David Sanders Jr. actually graded out number 2, second highest offensive player, 75.8. He had 49 snaps played. Deshaun Brain got in there at the end on that last drive. That was cool to see. 12 snaps, couple of receptions, 72.9% of his grade. Chris Brazzell, 82 snaps. Joey Aguilar, 85 snaps. He graded out at 67.9. Braylon Staley at 77 snaps. Lance Hurd at 79 snaps. He missed a couple of snaps. Star Thomas, 22 snaps. Bennett Warren got into action. Shout out to him for going in there for an injured Lance Hurd, or while Lance Hurd was getting his ankle taped. He played 6 snaps, so that was good to see. Jesse Perry played 71 snaps. Sam Pendleton, 82 snaps. Miles Kitselman, 66 snaps. Peyton Lewis, 23 snaps. Wendell Moy, 85 snaps. Shamu Morrow, 50 snaps. Mike Matthews, 82 snaps. And Jack Van Dorselaer, 15 snaps. You look at the defensive side of the football. Tennessee played 23 players on defense. The highest graded guy was Nathan Robinson, playing 20 snaps at 73%. Edris Farouk played 60 snaps, graded out at 71.8. Joshua Josephs, 30 snaps, graded out at 70.7. Jordan Ross, 18 snaps, graded out at 70.2. Caleb Herring, 23 snaps. Jalen McMurray, 25 snaps. Bryson Eason, 37 snaps. McMurray, I mentioned 25 snaps. Boo Carter, 32 snaps. Played more than Jalen McMurray in this football game. So that's something to kind of pay attention to, maybe and track as we move on right here. Tyree Weathersby, 11 snaps. Jeremiah Thielander, 41 snaps. Dominic Bailey, 43 snaps. Jackson Moy, 34 snaps. David Hobbs, 25 snaps. Edwin Spillman in 1/2. Remember, he was suspended for the first half because he was ejected in the last football game. 27 second half snaps. Andre Turrentine, 64 snaps. William Wright played a lot of corner in this football game. 25 snaps in place of Ty Redmond. Ty Redmond played 39 snaps. Colton Hood played 24 snaps. Arion Carter, 49 snaps. Jaden Perlotti, who continues to get a little bit of run here. That's good to see. 15 snaps. And Tyree West played 15 snaps in this football game. Let's go back to offense, and let's look at the passing chart. Okay, so Joey Aguilar was kept clean on 73.1% of his dropbacks. He was 23 of 35 in those scenarios, 213 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He was under pressure 26.9% of the time, where he completed 5 of 10 passes for 55 yards. He was not blitzed 73.1% of the time, so he was kept clean 22 of 33, and then he was blitzed 27% of the time, where he was 6 of 12 for 25 yards and an interception, because they did blitz on that goal line play. So that's what Joey Aguilar looked like. Again, decision-making wasn't as great normally as Joey Aguilar has showed so far this season. Completion percentage was okay. He completed about 64% of his passes. You look at kind of the spray chart here. For the first time all year, he never completed a pass of 20 yards or more down the field. So he was 0 for 3 in that category. He really struggled in the mid-range. In the short range. I'll get to that here in a moment. Mid-range, 10 to 19 yards. He was 9 of 13 for 142 yards and a touchdown. Really kind of struggled in the short range. He was 14 of 22. 63% completion and passes 10 yards or less. Is you want it to be higher, right? He was 14 of 22, 114 yards and an interception. And behind the line of scrimmage, he was a perfect 5 for 5 for 12 yards. Okay, so a couple of those screens there. So Joey Aguilar, again, he's played better. Certainly I wouldn't say it's worse. And I do think, and I meant to mention this in segment number 1, he was playing, looked like he was banged up in the second half for sure. And he was actually getting treatments after the game, so he couldn't come meet and answer questions of the media. But overall, I think that he's played much better football. Just wasn't playing his best in this football game. Overall, quickly we'll look at Ty Simpson in this football game. He was really good, kind of what we thought, right? Tennessee blitzed 44% of the time. So Tennessee blitzed almost 50% of the time. I think that's noteworthy. He was 6 of 14 when Tennessee blitzed for 63 yards. When he was kept clean, Ty Simpson was 22 of 27 for 199 yards and a touchdown. When he was under pressure, he was 5 for 7 for 54 yards and a touchdown. So he kind of kept things cool, calm, and collective. He was 2 of 4 on passes deep down the field for 56 yards. He was 4 of 5 from 10 to 19 yards. He was 9 of 11 for within 10 yards and 4 of 6 from behind the line of scrimmage. Let's look at the offensive line pressures real quick before we look at defense. So, players who gave up sacks. Wendell Moy gave up a sack. Lance Hurd gave up a sack. Pro Football Focus has Tennessee only giving up 2 sacks. They give up 4 sacks, and I'm pretty sure Jesse Perry gave up one of those sacks as well. Look at the hurries. Jesse Perry gave up 2 hurries. Shami Morrow gave up 2 hurries. Lance Hurd gave up 3 hurries. Wendell Moy gave up 2 hurries. And William Satterwhite gave up 1 hurry. Sam Pendleton did not give up a hurry in this football game. Let's look at coverage grades real quick. Let's see here. Jalen McMurray was targeted 3 times, gave up 2 receptions for 15 yards and a touchdown. Boo Carter targeted 5 times, gave up 4 receptions for 45 yards. Colton Hood was targeted 4 times, gave up 2 receptions for 56 yards and 1 critical pass interference penalty on 3rd down, which was just not very smart. Ty Redmond gave up 4 receptions on 4 targets, 31 yards, and a touchdown. Arion Carter in the middle, 4 receptions on 4 targets for 58 yards in this football game. Last but not least, what are we going to do here? We are doing missed tackles, okay? Last thing right here. Tennessee, for the 5th straight game, has given up 10 or more missed tackles. It's not good. 13 missed tackles in this football game. Again, a couple of those on just, a couple of plays. Ty Redmond missed two tackles. Jaden Perlotti missed 2 tackles. Tyree West missed a tackle. Arion Carter, Colton Hood, Andre Turrentine, Dominic Bailey, Jalen McMurray, Idris Farouk all missed 1 tackle, and Boo Carter missed 2 tackles. So, again, take it for what it's worth, but like snap counts, coverage grades, targets, receptions given up, pressures allowed, missed tackles, that's what I like to use Pro Football Focus for. And again, you can see per Pro Football Focus, some of these were, not very good stats. And whenever you don't put your best foot forward on the road with a team like Alabama, unfortunately, you can come up short, and that's what Tennessee did on Saturday. So when we come back, let's look at some of the box score stats, and we'll touch on the Tony Vitello saga that, from what we know at the time of this recording, and it's coming up next, and we continue on here. It's your Monday morning Locked On Vols. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, my wife, see our shared goals, make our financial decisions grow together. Monarch's visual data boards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make my money work for me. That's something that a lot of people don't understand. I didn't understand it at first. Make my money work for me, right? Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com or LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Monarch. All right, guys and gals, we got a final segment left here of this Monday morning Locked On Vols. Don't forget, get in those mailbag questions for tomorrow's show at _Cainer at Locked On Vols. And, of course, you can comment here on the YouTube channel as well. Again, I kind of went over some of these in segment number 1, 37-20. Tennessee won a lot of the stat battles, total yards, passing yards, rushing yards. But a lot of that kind of came in I don't want to say mop-up duty, but they were it was the last series of the football game where they ran out of time, couldn't punch it in there at the end, but ultimately the game was out of hand by then. But still, it's good to, I guess, rack up the yards. Tennessee 5 of 13 on third downs, 4 of 5 on fourth downs. I didn't like how Tennessee chased points there on the first touchdown of the third quarter. Thought you had a whole half to go. You had like 12 minutes left in the third quarter and you were chasing points. I know the math will tell you that made sense, but I still didn't like that. Tennessee, this is an alarming stat. And one of these is at the end of the game where they kind of ran out of time and, again, didn't have any timeouts and the game was already decided. But Tennessee was 2 of 5 in the red zone. 2 of 5 in the red zone. That's not good enough. Not good enough at all for sure. Tennessee had a defensive takeaway, but ultimately Tennessee, was Tennessee able to do anything off that? Let's see here. Drives, touchdown off a punt, touchdown off a kickoff. Nope. So when Tennessee forced the turnover, I was just double checking. When Tennessee forced the turnover, went 5 plays, 9 yards, and had to punt. So that was not great. Again, we talked about it last week. When you create opportunities, can you cash in? And Tennessee ultimately wasn't able to cash in this football game. But Joey Aguilar, again, I thought he played his worst game for Tennessee, but still I'd rather take Joey Aguilar every single day of the week. I like that kid. I think he plays well. He plays with a lot of heart. He was playing battered and bruised in that football game. I thought his decision-making wasn't very crisp like we've seen it this year. He finished going 28 of 44, 268, touchdown, 1 interception, 64%, a quarterback rating of 117.8. Of course, the backbreaker, just a bad throw. He threw it inside, needed to go outside. If you throw it outside, he either catches it for a touchdown, either falls harmlessly to the turf and you kick a field goal going into the half. Anything but throwing it inside, and throwing it inside allowed the safety to jump the route, and then he was off to the races. That was unfortunate. But Joey Aguilar looked like that stat-wise. Ty Simpson, 19 to 29, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, completed 66% of his passes. Deshaun Bishop, having a really good game, really good year, man. Back-to-back weeks, looking phenomenal. 123 yards, 14 attempts, 2 touchdowns, averaging 8.8 yards per carry. So congratulations to him. I thought all the guys ran pretty well. I thought Peyton Lewis came in and added something. I thought Star Thomas came in and added something. I thought they all looked good at different times. Thomas, 26 yards, 3 carries. Peyton Lewis, 18 yards, 6 carries. So I thought Tennessee did a good job of running the football. 142 is not going to win any awards, but again, I remember when Tennessee couldn't even get 100 yards rushing. Tennessee lost like 30-some-odd yards in terms of giving up 4 sacks, which is never great. Braylon Staley looked good over the middle, 92 yards off 10 receptions, 1 touchdown. That's great to see. Chris Brazzell more involved compared to what he was against Arkansas. They tried to get him in the end zone, couldn't make it connect, but 66 yards, 7 receptions. Mike Matthews, 39 yards, 4 receptions. Desan Brain, 3 receptions in that last series, 38 yards, good to see. Miles Kitselman, 18 yards off 3 receptions, and Peyton Lewis, 15 yards off 1 reception. Look at the first down numbers. Tennessee won in that. 26 first downs, 23 first downs for Alabama. Tennessee ran 77 plays. Alabama ran 61. Tennessee averaged 5.3 yards per play. Alabama averaged 6.1 yards per play. So that's a look at Tennessee, the box score stories, if you will. 37 to 20. It's unfortunate. I know this weekend hurt for a number of reasons, mainly this. But still, there's a lot to play in front of you. 10-2 gets you into the college football playoff. You can't go 10-2 unless you go 6-2 first. And, of course, we're going to focus on Kentucky all week long. Don't forget to get in your mailbag questions @_Cainer, @LockedOnVols. I'd love to hear from you guys. But first, before we say goodbye here on a Monday, I do want to address the Tony Vitello situation. And this is a developing story, and this is why I don't like to bring stuff like this on the show, because by the time I record this, it could be out of date in like an hour. So please hear me. And please know that this is late Sunday afternoon, early evening when I'm recording this. And very well, by the time you hear it, it could have another layer to it, or it can be developing. But over the weekend, in fact, I was checking into my hotel before the Tennessee-Alabama game. I was in Birmingham, wasn't even in Tuscaloosa. I was in Birmingham, and it was like 3 hours to kick off. And I'm sitting there checking into the hotel, and I get the notification from the Athletic / New York Times saying that the Giants are zeroing in on hiring Tony Vitello to be the next manager. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, of all the days, of all the days for this to happen, right? Now, I've been tracking this, right? I mean, this has been a weeks long thing, and thought it had died down in recent weeks, but ultimately spoke with a lot of people yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, on into Sunday. Sounds like talks between the two parties really started heating up early in the week. And I think when Nick Hundley essentially took his name out of the hat for the San Francisco job, that's when things started to really heat up between Vitello and Buster Posey again. So as things currently stand, again, this might be out of date by the time you hear it, and if it is, I do apologize, but as things currently stand, it's a holding pattern. I think Tony Vitello is thinking things over, mulling things over. He's obviously got a decision to make. I think there's a lure, of course, to becoming the first major league manager ever with no major league playing experience, no major league coaching experience, affiliated coaching experience, affiliated playing experience, anything like that. There's a lure, right? He's a baseball guy. There's only 30 of those jobs, right? I mean, it's incredible. And so I think that's obviously enticing. But I think he values what he's built here. I think he values the resources. I think he values the stadium. I think he values the wins here in Knoxville. So I think he's mulling it over and deciding what he wants to do. And hopefully we'll have some clarity on this. I thought that this would kind of be wrapped up and done one way or the other by the end of Sunday. We'll see if it is. Again, recording this late Sunday afternoon. And I'll be intrigued to see what happens. I do know that Tennessee does not want to let him go. There's been dialogue there between Tony's camp and Tennessee all weekend long. I can tell you that Tony was at practice. I confirmed that Tony was at practice Sunday afternoon, early afternoon, on Tennessee's campus at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So we will continue to track this thing. If he does take the Giants job, the managerial job, what does this mean for the program? Who's in line to take the steps to be the head coach? Will they open things up? We'll cross all those bridges when we get there. But right now, it's a holding pattern. We'll see if that changes by the time that this episode goes live. Ultimately, a lot going on in that regard. There's a number of different things in play. So we'll keep you updated right here on Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough for being here. Again, questions, comments, concerns, all that and more at _Cain or at Locked On Vols. Everydayers, thanks so much for being here. If you're new to the show, hope you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow. We'll call you an everydayer. This is Locked On Vols.